Chapter 22, Jeffrey. I didn't want to be recognized and I wasn't comfortable being completely buck-ass naked, so the first thing I did after I got undressed was head for the shopping deck. I got a ship logo ball cap and a pair of sunglasses, which cost a total of $238.50, which was a complete ripoff in which I charged to the room of Sue and Arnie Cogan. After that, I spent an hour walking around the ship, pretending it was no big deal to be walking naked around a ship full of naked people. In a situation like that, you can't be every 10 seconds pointing at some woman and yelling, "Hey, I can see your vagina," even though that's pretty much all you're thinking. I'm not saying all the women were hot. Some of them, if they fell overboard, they'd be harpooned by Japs, but there's something about a naked woman, any naked woman. Your brain always wants to take a look. Your brain never says, "Nah, I've seen enough naked women for now." After a while, I got thirsty from all that looking, so I found a seat at a bar on the sun deck called the Anemone Lounge, where I had a Heineken, which cost $12, which was picked up by my good friends Sue and Arnie Cogan. I'd been sitting at the bar for maybe 5 minutes when this couple came up to me. She was a blonde, middle-aged woman, but you could see she worked out with a nice fake rack. He was a big guy, some muscle, some fat, very hairy, like he was wearing a full-body sweater. He had on one of those fanny packs, which is a douchebag look even if you're not naked. I had this weird feeling that I knew them, but I just couldn't figure out from where. The rack said, "Mind if we join you?" I shrugged. They sat down. "I'm Charisse," said the rack. "This is Mike." Mike stuck out his hand and we shook, him holding it a little too long, letting me know he had a grip. He said, "Are you enjoying the cruise so far, Jeffrey?" I pulled my hand away. "Do I know you?" I said. "Not yet," he said. "Then how do you know my name?" Cherie smiled and said, "Everybody knows you, Jeffrey." "I don't know what you're talking about." "I have to say," said Mike, "going on a nude cruise, it's a very creative way to hide out." "I'm not hiding out," I said. "No," said Therese, looking straight at my dick. "You're not." "Listen," I said, "I don't know who you think I am, but you're Jeffrey Peckerman," said Mike. "We recognized you when you got on board." He unzipped his waist pack, and for a second there, the way things had been going lately, I thought he was going to pull out a gun. But what he pulled out was an iPhone. He tapped on it for a few seconds and handed it to me. On the screen was the New York Post website. The headline said, "Zoo sex pervert bridge terrorist linked to Al-Qaeda cell." There were the usual pictures of me and Horkman, but now there were 4 new pictures. Crappy black and white headshots taken from video. 3 were of the assholes from the bar who kidnapped me, with raghead names under their pictures. The 4th was Fook. At least I figured it was. The actual photo showed the head of Chuck E. Cheese, underneath which it said "Mystery Cell Leader." I read the first few paragraphs of the story. The cops had checked surveillance videos from Central Park the night Horkman and I had been at the zoo. They'd identified the 3 assholes, who it turned out were serious Al-Qaeda wanted by the FBI. So now the story, according to quote-unquote federal sources, was that Horkman and I were working with Al-Qaeda, taking orders from the highest levels, and we were planning major new terror attacks. There was a nationwide manhunt on for us. The president had declared a state of emergency. The public was completely freaking out. And Fox News was spearheading a boycott of Chuck E. Cheese. "Jesus," I said. "Yes," said Charisse. She rested her hand on my thigh. "You're a popular man, Jeffrey." "Listen," I said, "this is a huge mistake. I have nothing to do with Al-Qaeda." "Then why'd you go to the zoo with them?" said Mike. I did, but they forced me." "I see," said Mike. "And did they force you to bomb the GW bridge and shoot down the police chopper?" "No." "So you did that on your own?" "No, I didn't do any of that." "I see. And after not doing any of that, you suddenly decided to take a nude cruise, get out of town for a while." "With your friend Philip Horkman," said Therese, "traveling under the names Sue and Arnie Cogan." "I'm curious," said Mike. "Which one of you is Arnie and which one is Sue?" I took a swig of beer, put the bottle back down. "Okay," I said, "I know it looks bad." "Yes, it does," said Mike. "Very bad," said Charisse, who, by the way, still had her hand on my thigh. "But," I said, "I swear to you, I can explain if you'll just give me a minute, okay? A couple of days ago, I was at my daughter's soccer game, and I don't know if you're familiar with the offside rule, but I stopped there because of how they were looking at me. You're not gonna buy this, are you? I said. No, said Mike. I'm blonde, said Charisse, but I'm not stupid. So I said, are you going to turn me in? No, said Mike. You're not. Jeffrey, said Charisse, breathing right in my ear, whatever happened, it's not your fault. Then it hit me where I knew them from. You're the lawyers, I said. In that ad on cable, somebody and somebody. Fricker and Fricker, said Mike. Whatever happened, it's not your fault. That's more than just a motto for us, Jeffrey. That's how we live our lives. We help people who need help, said Charisse, even if they don't know it. And you, my friend, need help, said Mike. Okay, I said, but why would you help me? What's in it for you? Mike leaned in. Let's say we're able to help you out, he said. Maybe you know some people who would appreciate that. Maybe these are people with resources. And maybe they'll be inclined to feel a certain degree of gratitude toward the law firm of Fricker and Fricker. What people? Who are you talking about? You know, said Charisse. Important people you might happen to know with resources. I stared at her. You mean terrorists? I said. A big smile from Charisse and another squeeze. Such an ugly word, terrorists, said Mike. Why can't we stop the name-calling and the labeling? Why can't we just get along? Listen to me, I said. I don't know those people. Mike smiled. Of course you don't, he said. As your lawyers, we wouldn't want to hear you say anything else. Wait, you're my lawyers? I would hope so, for your sake, said Mike. Because if we weren't your lawyers, this wouldn't be a privileged conversation, and if that were the case, we'd have no choice as citizens but to turn you in. We'd hate to do that, said Charisse. I stared at them. They were smiling at me, big smiles, like moray eels, but without the warmth. You know what, said Mike, it's getting windy out here, and we have a lot to talk about. Let's go find your friend Philip. He stood. Charisse pulled me to my feet. It really was getting windy. The ocean looked rough and the deck was moving. I stumbled a little and Mike and Charisse grabbed me, holding me up between them. My legal team.